Please like this video, share, and subscribe. The future of marine conservation isn't being written in research journals or policy papers. It's being written in the daily actions of people who refuse to accept that destruction is inevitable. Their work continues right now, in this moment, as you're watching this. And whether they succeed may depend on whether their story inspires you to become part of it. This is the untold story of marine conservation. It was never just about saving the oceans. It was about discovering that humanity's greatest challenges require us to work together in ways we've never attempted before. The ocean connected us long before we realized it, and saving it is teaching us how to save ourselves. Every breath you take connects you to this story. Every choice you make ripples through systems that span the globe. The revolution happening beneath the waves is really a revolution in how we understand our place on this planet. The ocean is teaching us that recovery is possible on a scale we never imagined, but only if we're willing to completely reimagine our relationship with the natural world. The crisis forced innovation, and that innovation is revealing possibilities that extend far beyond marine conservation. The technologies and social systems developed to save our oceans are now being applied to forest conservation, agricultural sustainability, and urban planning. The collaborative networks that formed around marine protection are tackling climate change, poverty, and social justice with the same systematic approach that's bringing fish populations back from the brink. Each of them has faced moments of devastating doubt. There were projects that failed spectacularly, setbacks that erased years of progress overnight, and criticism from both traditional conservationists and industry interests who felt threatened by their radical approaches. The pressure of knowing that the future of the planet might depend on their work has taken a toll that's impossible to quantify. Yet they continue because they've seen what's possible. They've witnessed dead coral reefs burst back to life in brilliant colors that take your breath away. They've watched fishing communities celebrate catches that their grandparents would have recognized. They've seen children swimming in waters that were toxic just years before. Dr. Chen's team has had to evolve from restoration specialists to ecosystem architects, designing interventions that account for multiple possible future scenarios. They're not just bringing back what was lost. They're creating marine ecosystems that are more resilient than anything that existed before human impact. The personal cost of this work is something rarely discussed in conservation circles. Sarah has spent years away from her family, diving in remote locations where one mistake could be fatal. Marcus gave up a profitable business to pursue an uncertain future. Maria left her traditional homeland to work with scientists in unfamiliar urban laboratories. The results speak for themselves. In just 5 years, participating regions have seen average fish population increases of 60%. Coral reef recovery rates have tripled in alliance zones. Ocean acidity levels are stabilizing in areas where the network's interventions have been implemented at scale. But success has brought new challenges. As marine ecosystems begin to recover, they're revealing problems that were hidden by decades of degradation. Species are returning to areas where their traditional food sources no longer exist. Ocean currents altered by decades of temperature changes are redistributing recovered populations in unexpected ways. Climate change continues to accelerate, creating new pressures even as old ones are being addressed. But perhaps the most powerful innovation was social. The Global Ocean Alliance, a network that connects every successful marine conservation project on the planet. When a technique works in one location, the entire network learns from it immediately. When a community faces a new challenge, they have instant access to solutions that have worked elsewhere. The Alliance now includes over 10,000 communities across every continent. Former enemies have become collaborators. Commercial fishing fleets work alongside environmental activists. Technology companies share their innovations freely instead of guarding them as trade secrets. The competitive mindset that created the crisis has been replaced by a collaborative urgency that's driving unprecedented recovery. Understanding these connections led to the development of ecosystem network mapping, a revolutionary approach that treats conservation as a global system rather than isolated local efforts. For the first time, conservationists could predict how protecting a mountain watershed would affect coral reefs on the other side of the world. The technology that emerged from this collaboration reads like science fiction. Underwater drones that can stay submerged for months, constantly monitoring and adjusting ocean chemistry, satellite networks that track the health of individual coral colonies from space, genetically enhanced algae that can neutralize plastic pollution while simultaneously providing food for marine life. Indigenous communities had always understood something that Western science was just rediscovering. Ecosystems are not collections of individual species, but complex webs of relationships that extend far beyond what we can see. When Maria's knowledge keepers worked with Sarah's research team, they identified connection points between marine and terrestrial ecosystems that scientists had completely overlooked. Rivers carry more than water to the ocean. They carry chemical messages that communicate the health of entire watersheds. Forest fires thousands of miles inland affect coral growth patterns through atmospheric changes that take months to manifest. The migration patterns of whales influence the distribution of nutrients that feed microscopic organisms at the base of the entire food web. But the most revolutionary development came from an unexpected source. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, Indigenous elder Maria Santos had been watching the news about ocean conservation with growing concern. Her people had maintained the forest for thousands of years using traditional knowledge passed down through generations. She realized that the same principles that kept the rainforest healthy could be applied to marine ecosystems. Maria reached out to Sarah with a proposal that seemed impossible. Combine cutting-edge marine science with indigenous land management practices that had sustained complex ecosystems for millennia. The collaboration that followed challenged every assumption about how conservation should work. The transformation wasn't easy. Marcus lost friends who called him a traitor to the fishing tradition. His income plummeted initially. There were nights when he questioned everything, wondering if he'd made a terrible mistake. But then, something extraordinary happened. The fish started coming back. Not just a few fish, but species that hadn't been seen in those waters for decades. This success story spread like wildfire through coastal communities. From the fjords of Norway to the atolls of the Maldives, fishing communities began reimagining their relationship with the ocean. They weren't just taking from it anymore, they were actively participating in its recovery. Take Marcus Rodriguez, a third-generation fisherman from the Gulf of Mexico, whose family business was dying along with the fish populations. Instead of giving up, Marcus made a decision that shocked his community. He transformed his fishing operation into something entirely different. A marine restoration company that uses traditional fishing knowledge to help scientists understand and heal damaged ecosystems. Marcus's boats now deploy artificial reef structures designed using algorithms that predict ocean current patterns decades into the future. His crew, who once competed with each other for dwindling catches, now work together monitoring water quality, tracking species recovery, and maintaining underwater gardens of genetically enhanced corals that Sarah's team developed. This revelation sparked what scientists now call the resilience revolution. Traditional conservation had focused on protecting pristine environments from human impact, but Sarah's work suggested something radically different. What if we could help nature adapt faster than we're damaging it? What if the solution wasn't just stopping harm, but actively enhancing the ocean's natural ability to heal itself? The implications were staggering. If corals could adapt this quickly, what about other marine life? What about entire ecosystems? Sarah's research attracted attention from unlikely allies. Tech entrepreneurs, indigenous knowledge keepers, former oil industry engineers, and even reformed commercial fishermen began joining forces in ways nobody had imagined possible. But Sarah's story begins long before that fateful dive. Growing up in a fishing village in Taiwan, she watched her grandfather's nets come up emptier each year. The old man would stare at the horizon with tears in his eyes, speaking in whispers about the abundance he remembered from his youth. Those whispered stories planted a seed in young Sarah's mind that would eventually grow into a mission that spans continents. The ocean doesn't care about our borders or our politics. It connects every corner of our planet through invisible currents that carry life, nutrients, and unfortunately, our mistakes. When Sarah began her research, she discovered that the coral she found wasn't just surviving by accident. These organisms had developed unprecedented adaptive mechanisms, essentially rewriting their own genetic code in real time to cope with changing conditions. The numbers are staggering, and they should terrify you. We've lost over half of our coral reefs in just the past 30 years. Plastic pollution has created garbage patches larger than entire countries. Fish populations have crashed by 90% since industrial fishing began. But here's what the headlines don't tell you. For every devastating statistic, there's a human story of incredible resilience and innovation fighting back. Meet Dr. Sarah Chen, a marine biologist who discovered something extraordinary while diving in the supposedly dead waters off the coast of Florida. Where everyone expected to find bleached coral graveyards, she found something impossible: corals that were thriving in conditions that should have killed them. This discovery would launch her on a decade-long quest that challenges everything we thought we knew about ocean resilience. What if I told you every second breath you take comes from the ocean? Right now, the ecosystems behind that breath are collapsing. But beneath the waves, a quiet revolution is underway. Scientists, activists, and everyday people are fighting back with bold innovations that could reshape our planet's future. You're about to dive into a world where cutting-edge tech meets ancient wisdom, where setbacks fuel breakthroughs, and where humanity's survival may depend on what happens next. This isn't just another documentary. This is the untold story of those refusing to let our oceans die.